Ransomware didn't cause this penalty, it exposed the gaps that were already there. That's the line to keep in mind as we talk through a recent OCR case, what went wrong, and what a strong security risk analysis and response plan look like in day-to-day practice. A small ambulatory surgery center in New York recently agreed to pay $250,000 and to take on a 2-year corrective action plan after a ransomware incident. Almost 25,000 patients were affected. Investigators didn't just look at the malware, they asked a basic question: were the required safeguards in place? And did the organization meet its breach notification duties on time? The answer in this case was no, and that's why the penalty happened. The ransomware was the event, but the penalty tied back to missing those fundamentals. HHS said that the threat actor accessed the center's environment in March of 2021. When OCR looked deeper, they found the center had not conducted an accurate and thorough security risk analysis, and notifications were not made in a timely way. The organization accepted 2 years of federal monitoring under a corrective action plan. That plan includes completing a security risk analysis, implementing a risk management plan, reviewing and revising policies and procedures, and training their workforce. One more detail matters for context here. HHS highlighted that this was the OCR's 14th ransomware enforcement action. That number is a strong signal. Regulators continue to treat ransomware as a lens that reveals whether the basics were handled. If those basics are missing, the response is enforcement, not just a shrug. Now let's translate this into practical steps. I'll start with the security risk analysis because that is the foundation. A thorough SRA identifies where electronic protected health information actually lives, how it flows through your systems, and which people and vendors touch it. It looks at administrative safeguards like role-based access and training, physical safeguards like facility access controls, and technical safeguards like authentication, audit logging, and encryption. It rates risk in a way that your team can understand, and it ties every significant risk to a concrete mitigation with an owner and a due date. It's written down and revisited when the environment changes, not just once a year. If you're wondering what thorough looks like in practice, think about a normal month inside your environment. New staff join and they need access. 2 users change roles and 1 leaves. A vendor pushes an update. A provider wants to use a tablet at a satellite clinic. Someone asks to open a firewall rule for a new imaging viewer. A good security risk analysis and the plan attached to it are flexible enough to absorb that churn. They give you patterns to follow so that every change triggers the same checks. Where does EPHI flow? Which systems are in scope? What are the authentication and logging off requirements? How do we validate backups for any system we add? Who signs off? And how do we document it? Let's talk about timeliness next, because we notified too late shows up again and again in enforcement. Under the HIPAA breach notification rule, covered entities have to notify affected individuals, and they have to notify HHS without unreasonable delay and in no case later than 60 calendar days after discovering a breach. It's measured in calendar days, and discovery isn't when a forensics report is final. Discovery is when you know a breach occurred. That's why your internal process has to be fast, repeatable, and documented. So what slows teams down? 2 things show up a lot. First, uncertainty about whether an incident meets the definition of a breach that requires notification. Second, a lack of pre-built pathways to get from "we think we have a problem" to "we've gathered enough facts to make a decision and move." You can fix both. Define your thresholds ahead of time. Decide who assembles the incident team and how they are reached out to after hours. Keep a short list of outside resources that can be activated fast: legal counsel with breach experience, a forensics firm on retainer, your cyber insurance carrier's panel if that applies. Draft the notification templates now, then fill in the specifics when you need them. Keep a 1-page playbook that says who drafts, who reviews, who approves, and how you record the timing for your files. When the stakes are high and the clock is running, muscle memory is your friend. Let's make this real with a simple scenario. Imagine your help desk sees a spike in lockouts and a few users report odd desktop behavior. Endpoint alerts suggest that something suspicious ran on 2 workstations. Your first hour actions are scripted. You isolate the affected devices on the network, you capture volatile evidence, you check your identity provider for any unusual logins, you pull recent audit logs for your EHR and file servers, you verify that backups for the likely affected systems passed both completion and restore tests in the last week. Then you assemble the incident team and decide if you crossed your internal breach likely line. If yes, your notification timeline is now in motion, even as forensics continues. The point is not to bypass careful analysis. The point is to avoid losing days in indecision. Now, back to the security risk analysis and the risk management plan that follows it. I want to offer you a quick checklist that you can weave into your normal rhythm. First, map your EPHI, Electronic Protected Health Information, not just systems by department, but data by flow. How does information enter? Where does it rest? Who can see it? How is it exported? And how is it destroyed? Second, tighten identity and access. Use the principle of least privilege with roles you can't explain in plain language. Enforce multi-factor authentication everywhere it's supported, including remote access, VPN, and privileged admin accounts. Third, verify audit logging is on for the systems that matter and schedule regular reviews that are actually performed, not just planned. Fourth, encrypt EPHI in transit and at rest where appropriate, especially on portable devices or any system where loss would be catastrophic. Fifth, validate backups. Don't just check the job's finished, test restores from different points in time and document the results. Sixth, train people in a way that's relevant to their jobs. Front desk staff need different examples than your other administrators. Everyone should know how to report a suspected issue without fear of blame. These are the line items that regulators expect to see. The settlement is a lot for a small clinic, but the New York case is a reminder that size doesn't exempt anyone. OCR's director put it simply in the announcement. Failing to implement the security rule makes organizations soft targets at a time when attackers are more sophisticated. That's not about blaming victims. It's about pointing everyone to the same baseline. Do the analysis, act on it, and keep your notifications timely when something does go wrong. Before we close, I want to leave you with a simple way to check your footing this week. 5 quick questions that you can answer without a big project. 1, when was your last documented SRA finalized, and do you have the version in front of you? 2, can you point to an active risk management plan that shows owners and due dates with at least a handful of items marked complete in the last 60 days? 3, if I asked for last month's access review of your EHR and your file shares, could you open the file and show me who signed it? 4, if we have to notify patients next week, do you know exactly where your breach notification templates and procedures live and who approves them? And 5, if a laptop disappeared today, can you prove it was encrypted, and can you restore the data it contained from a recent backup? If those answers are solid, then you are in a good place. If not, then you have a clear starting point. If it's been a while since your last security risk analysis, don't wait for a headline to force the issue. Reach out to our team today to get started. Thanks for spending time with us on this. I know the demands are real and the list can feel long, but this is work that pays off. It keeps patients' information safe. It keeps your team from scrambling in the dark, and it keeps you on the right side of the rules when something goes wrong. Ransomware didn't cause the penalty in this case. The missing basics did. So handle the basics, and you've already changed the ending to your story.